Welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk about why so many successful leaders get stuck and feel unfulfilled, even though they're doing very well, making lots of money, really successful in their lives. You know, everything's going well, but then they still feel like something's missing, or they're stuck, or they're unfulfilled. So what has inspired me to discuss this, which is actually an unusual topic that I normally don't address on this podcast, is that in the last few weeks, I've had a lot of people contact me, book calls to explore working together or answer one of my emails that I send to my community, at least once a week or so. And they've told me these stories where they're actually doing well. They're therapists or business leaders or have a great corporate job, but they feel like something's off and something's missing, and they can't really seem to put their finger on it. And I've been kind of exploring this pattern because I've seen this a lot over the years. And I've actually been working with some private clients over the last few years who are on this path. They're not new entrepreneurs, or maybe they're not even looking to start up something new. Very often they're actually successful entrepreneurs. They're people who've, been living their dreams for a long time, but then they come to some point in their life. It tends to be between, and not to say it's, a certain age group, but it tends to be people in their 40s and 50s who have what they call made it in life. They've made money, they've done well, they've bought the house, they've maybe even had kids, and maybe the kids have left home. And there's just kind of this feeling of depression or isolation or loneliness, or something's just off. And they've been reporting the same thing to me. And it tends to be this place of feeling that they don't know what it is that's missing. And it's, and I have literally heard people say this, including a couple of people I've talked to in the last just few weeks, where they say, I can't figure out what's going on. I don't know why. I just feel so stuck. And it's this word stuck, it's this general feeling of life is stagnant. Even though I have all these things, I feel unfulfilled. I don't know what else is missing. And it's been interesting as I've been working with private clients who are, sometimes very big leaders, people who are actually successful. I've worked with private clients that are leaders in the psychedelic space, leaders in just other entrepreneurial capacities, lots of therapists, lots of nurses, doctors, people in the kind of service-centered realm of healing and helping others. And you think they would be doing great, but there's this offness. And very often what they start to explore is the help of psychedelics. And they start to feel like, okay, maybe this medicine can give me some insights. Maybe this will help me just feel better, or, cure my depression, or just calm my anxiety. And of course, that's what it's been touted to be known as, right? Like this cure for your depression, or just feel better if you microdose. But what starts to happen is the psychedelic experience shakes things up a little bit, right? It gets you seeing things in a different way. It has you really tapping into these other places, and maybe even, and I really shouldn't even say maybe, it's like a fact, where it might even show you this truth about what's really going on in your life, in your business, in your journey of where you're at now, that's really keeping you feeling stuck and unfulfilled, and like there's something more out there for you. And through this psychedelic experience, they might start to actually feel like, wow, maybe there's stuff I should look at, and I need to get some help around this. So I've been helping people. It's very interesting. So primarily, I offer business coaching where I help people start and grow their businesses and do work that they love. But oddly, without even trying, over the last few years, most of my private one-on-one coaching clients have been people who are going through this, what I would call this soul evolution, because I do believe that we have souls that are incarnated here on earth for a reason. For those of you who don't believe this, just hear me out here. That there's something bigger than just you living your life to buy all the things and have the nice house and the nice car and have a family and then grow older and retire and then die. That there's something that this part of you, whether you want to call it a soul or not, it doesn't really matter, but there's a part of you that is here for something bigger. And here's the thing, it doesn't necessarily mean you're here to save the entire planet or become the next Albert Einstein of the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. But if you've been going through the motions for a long time, like you have the safe job, you have the career that's doing well, things are actually okay, but then you just feel this kind of underlying feeling of like, some people can't even put it into words, and that's why they use the word stuck. It's like the stuckness. And there's a heaviness in the heart to it. It's like, I'm not sad, maybe I'm not even depressed, but it's just this feeling like something's off and something more is possible. I think very often humans, it's in our nature, know that if you're not really living your fullest potential, meaning what I believe to be the soul's fullest journey that it wants to live in this incarnation here on earth, which is right now. If you're alive listening to this, you're in this particular one incarnation. And I do believe if your soul is not really fulfilling what it wants, what it's come here to do, whatever that is, it doesn't matter, things start to feel off. Very often over the years, what I've seen, and this has happened to me multiple times, but it's happened to a lot of my clients, and usually before they come to me, people tend to get sick or get injuries or go through major life initiations that are here to wake up their soul. I have seen over the years people go through tremendous losses and, traumatic events like having to have a partner leave or a divorce or, major illness that happened to them, to have them wake up and start to see that maybe it's time to make some kind of change. And this is usually where they come to me. And this is the work I've been doing for a while. And I wanted to talk about it here because, especially over the last 1.5 to 2 years, I've been doing this really deep diving one-on-one private coaching work that is well beyond business coaching. It's kind of like what I would call psychedelic informed, psychedelic assisted, soul's liberation, evolution, applied metaphysics coaching program. And to put it into just simple words, I also call it like soul leadership coaching, because that's the only kind of normal human term I can describe it as. But I've realized, I've been working with a lot of leaders, CEOs, therapists, people who have really great jobs, kind of big players, people who are actually public out there in the world, that come and they know that there's something missing and they want to feel better. And most of the time, they don't even know what's going on. And during our work together, this is where it becomes this deep exploration of what your soul is here to do, what you are here to take on next. And it doesn't necessarily mean go quit your job or sell your entire business or walk away from it all and let it all burn to the ground. It just means really tuning in and getting present with what is emerging through you. And throughout our journey together, which I have a very specific process that helps people start to feel this and see it and actually start to make it a reality, throughout this, something keeps emerging, and I guide my clients to understand how to work with it and pay attention to it and actually work with it on a manifestational level to witness it being birthed in front of their eyes. So I've been doing this kind of soul liberation, applied metaphysics, leadership coaching program in conjunction with a good friend of mine who I would refer to as like my secret weapon. I've been actually working with him for, I don't even know now, 9 years or so. He's a close friend. I have done work with him myself for many, many years. And I noticed that when he came into my life and we started doing this work together, I noticed how fast I seemed to be evolving. And I've actually always been a pretty fast evolver because I've just been on a mission. Like I have known since I was a child that I was here to live out some big potential, and it wasn't necessarily like, oh, become huge and famous or make a lot of money or save the planet, but it was more about this feeling in me that knew that I wouldn't be satisfied living on Earth by just getting by or by just ticking all the boxes, but instead knowing that feeling inside of me that was, like eating away at me, that's like, I have to always listen to that or else it will start to eat me alive. And many times in my life, I had experienced this where, I wasn't really living my truth or, I was kind of putting my dreams aside and choosing the safe route, which is, for me, it was just having a really good job and a safe salary and choosing the safe route, but finding that there was something in me that was starting to just feel like stagnant and stuck and honestly, like just like life had absolutely no meaning. And when I started really exploring this and paying attention, I could really feel that there was something else inside of me that not only wanted to emerge and be birthed out of my soul, but it had to. And it had to the point where I actually got to a particular day in my journey where I chose to live versus die. And it wasn't actually like, it wasn't suicide. It was an actual feeling of, if I don't do something about this, I will probably die. So for me, and this happened multiple times, and now I've learned like to really listen to the soul and what wants to emerge and start acting upon it. But for me, it manifested in a like near-death illness, mystery illness that no one could cure and couldn't figure out what was going on. And it was so debilitating that I remember it brought me down, not just to my knees, but literally like laying on the floor, and I couldn't even hear properly. I couldn't speak. I couldn't function. I couldn't think. And there was just this moment of like, I actually really want to live. Like I want to live. And I remember at that moment, that was when I knew everything needed to change. And at the time, I wasn't even sure what particular, specifics needed to change. I just knew there was something that wasn't fully being expressed through me. And when I say expressed, it means like just acted on. It doesn't mean having to shout it out all over social media. It just means when there's something living inside of you that wants to be birthed through you, you have to actually pay attention to it, or else the soul, what I believe, the soul will do what it takes, and very often the hard way, to move you into the alignment of where it wants you to be. So again, when I say the hard way, it's these initiatory experiences of getting sick, losing something, maybe being fired or laid off, maybe having someone in your life die, like a parent or, like a major breakup that really has you go into that dark night of the soul where you start to really feel like, I have to make changes. I know I'm not living my full potential. And this is where someone like me can come in. And this is also where, yes, psychedelics are a great tool to help you, start to see this and work with it, but they will not fix you by themselves. The psychedelics are a great ally, psychedelics and sacred plant medicines, to help you really tune in and then start to make changes with someone who can guide you through these changes and hold you through the journey, not only to stay accountable to yourself, but really to know that you don't have to do this alone, that this is actually quite normal, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a way through it. And this is the work that I've somehow accidentally found myself doing over the last few years. On some level, when I look back on my entire coaching career, a lot of my private clients were actually not doing business coaching with me. They were really doing this deeper soul work, really trying to find some sense of purpose and like tuning into what they really wanted to be doing and fulfill this fuller potential that they knew was living inside of them. Most of them were in, ages from 35 to 55, even 60. And honestly, I've even had clients in their 70s who knew that there was just something more. And if they didn't start to make changes, they were just going to spiral down into depression or doom or like this utter state of like, why? What is the point of all this? And to be honest, it's like, why choose to live life wondering what this is all about when you can actually be co-creating something new that wants to birth through you all the time? I mean, yes, of course we go through phases that you just get in ruts, or I feel stuck, or maybe I get sick or whatever. But, generally for the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years, on some level, even through the hard times, I felt like I was constantly always co-creating and up-leveling with my soul to be birthing what kept wanting to emerge. This is like just how nature works. And we are exactly nature. So a tree grows. It doesn't just stop when it hits like 3 feet for the most part. Let's use like, sequoia tree or redwood or pine, big force of nature that can live for, a really long time, hundreds of years, but, could also just die at any time with some big storm or lightning or whatever it is, forest fire, just like humans, right? We can go and go and go until this just expiration date, or we could die like right now or tomorrow. We never know. And that's the beauty of the mystery of life. But we are designed to be ever expanding and evolving. That is what our souls are here to do. And what happens is if you get to a place where, maybe you hit like a tree, like you hit, 7 feet tall, and you decide, you know what, I'm just going to quit growing because I'm really comfortable here. I've got the nice cars, I've got the family, I've got the house, I make all the money, I go on vacations, I have the easy job, like things are just great, status quo. There's maybe some like excitement here and there, maybe the next vacation. But what happens very often is there's this eventual place you get where it's the soul wanting more. The soul wants this deeper potential fulfilled. And if you don't really pay attention to it, this is where the dark nights of the souls can come up. So this is where working with psychedelics, integrating them in, working with a coach or a guide is someone to help you really dive deep into what is it you really want? Why are you even here on earth? And how do you truly embody and be present to what is living inside of your heart and your soul? So this work I do with my friend involves a mix of what he calls applied metaphysics, where he looks at your soul's blueprint through a particular astrological evolutionary designed modality that he actually channeled himself, that was taken off of a variety of different modalities and teachers that he's studied and worked with over the years. And through this, I've been doing this work with him. It has helped me so much get clarity around, okay, like this is the path that I'm here to be on. How do I move more into that soul's path? And when you start to work with this as a living organism, as a spirit, like the spirit of your soul, as this being, I like to use visuals to help people personify. Like when you really tap in to this part of yourself that's asking for more as this even separate spirit, even though it's nothing's separate, let's be honest here. But if you really start to tap into this potentiality of something that's living inside of you that even has its own personality, that's like, hey there, wake up. Like you've been coasting for so long. I'm ready to help you up level. You could let the initiations happen that tend to be challenging and heavy and very hard for a lot of people. Or you can actually just get guidance and support to just take the small little baby steps to make it a reality and enjoy it and work with it and get curious and not be attached. That's even like the beauty of it is when you're not attached and you're actually just getting curious and listening and really diving deeper into this presence of your heart, what happens is things start to magically emerge on their own. This is where I've seen, and I hate to use that word, but it's the only word to describe it. I've seen the magic year after year after year with my clients while we do these modalities, while we do this kind of soul guidance leadership coaching, is it's almost like things start to land in their laps. Like, oh, I was thinking of doing this, and then all of a sudden someone called me. Or I was thinking maybe I should quit doing this, and then it lit on fire, or whatever it is. Like, I've seen everything. I've had multiple times clients like really express how, their job was kind of not aligned anymore. They were just over it, and it depressed them, made them unfulfilled. So they started taking steps towards something else with me, with their guidance, with my guidance, with our guidance. And lo and behold, something changed in the job, or the company went under, or, they lost their job. I've seen this numerous times. It's kind of like when you start to have this conversation with your soul, with the universe, and really, starting to build this relationship within yourself, within this container, this being that wants to take you up to the next level, things start to magically move on their own. But I will tell you this, they don't do it all for you. It's not like you just manifest a new business and new income and new clients immediately just because you say yes to it. There's the fact and the truth that we live in the 3D reality of the earth plane. So there's still, tangibles. This is the co-creation of the masculine and feminine, which I've been talking about for many, many years. It takes the masculine actions, the commitment, the doing, the pieces that involve like really grounding something into this reality that we live in at this time in the world. We can't deny that we live in 2023 for now. And then it takes this other energetic piece, which is really, you being able to really have this conversation and dive in and energetically connect to this place of your heart. And this is where, I've done this work with some clients where we can do this kind of psychedelic-assisted, what I've called various different things, but like this soul business visioning session. And here's the thing. Psychedelics, yes, they can give you just clear answers and guidance. And most of the time, it's not just that. It's other things that are actually coming up that are in the way of allowing what wants to emerge through you to come through. So no, you are not just going to take, a couple grams of mushrooms with me and voila, now you have your new business. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I've seen everything happen, but what's really happening on some level is, there's a lot of stuff usually in the way. It's a purification process where you actually need to clear what's in the way of what wants to emerge. So if you have a belief or an energetic block or something that's, like something you're telling yourself over and over and over that is keeping you in a certain pattern that is holding you in this place while your soul wants to emerge in this higher level place, then the psychedelic experience can actually help bring all that stuff up to be looked at, to be seen, to be transmuted, to then leave the space for what wants to emerge to come through. Or you might literally just get some exact ideas, and depending on who you are and what kind of personality you have, like you might just say like, hey, okay, I see it. I'm clear. I'm going to go for it. But generally with most human beings, especially those that are really stuck in their head, that get caught up in the same looping patterns, that are just really in like these fear reaction modes of like not wanting to make movement and just feeling stuck and not knowing what's wrong. Well, very often then it does take this combination of like, okay, there's stuff that needs to be dealt with, or there's stuff that is coming through that is actually in the way of what your soul wants to bring to the world. And I just wanted to talk about this because I haven't actually shared about this much publicly, but it's funny because I went through my own soul initiation around this over the last couple of years around like, well, wait a second, like, what is it that I'm really doing with my clients? Like, I've just called myself a business coach for many years, a spiritual business coach, an entheogenic business coach, psychedelic business coach. But what is really happening here? And that's where I started witnessing with my clients in my mastermind group, with my private clients, with other clients, even in my shorter programs. I started to really just see what was happening. And I realized, like, wow, I'm actually here to help them get out of their own way and liberate their soul, and also make it a reality in this 3D plane, like, again, like the masculine, like, okay, now like, let's take these steps. Or, essentially what I do in most of my programs is it's an experiential process. When you're in the steps and doing this other work at the same time, that's where the layers can fall off and you're getting curious, and that's where the momentum starts to happen. It actually creates this kind of vortex of energy where the magic starts coming in. And that's where I sometimes, like, I'll be honest, I know this sounds like total BS, but I have honestly surprised myself over the years where I'm like, wow, that person just got like a major up level like so quickly. But I realize, when I have clients that are open-minded, that are willing to go there, that are willing to take the coaching, willing to do the inner work, which, by the way, does not have to be super uncomfortable. Yes, sometimes it is, but it's not, like, healing doesn't have to be miserable. It can be fun and exciting. And really, like, it's just an evolution of the soul. I personally don't even use the word healing very often. If you follow me, if you read things that I write, you hear my podcast, I actually use it less than a lot of people in the psychedelic space, because I also, while, let's be honest, there's a lot of trauma. Yes, there's things to heal. I also believe like we are always in the perfect place exactly as we are right now, because I believe in the evolution of the soul, and I believe we've all been given those traumas, all those issues, all those, tragic upbringings that all of us have had, or even intergenerational traumas or past lives and, ancestry. I could go on. And it made us into the most perfectly divine human being that we are exactly right now. Like, that's it. And as a perfectly divine, like, absolute beautiful, essential being of light on planet Earth, perfect as you are right now, your soul is also designed to be evolving, because, again, like, we're just like nature. It is not here to stay stuck and stagnant and just get comfortable and that's it. Because honestly, that to me is not truly living. That's a slow death. And we've heard about this many times. I don't know why it seems to happen to men more, but a lot of times men, well, actually I do know why, but men will often, they say, retire and die very quickly, because they've put so much weight onto meaning through just their job, that now they have no job and they have no other source of meaning and fulfillment in their life from within, that they actually just die pretty quick. And by the way, that happened to my own father. So I have firsthand experience. And I think on some level, I'm put here on this planet to help you really live a full life till the day you actually, just your soul ceases to exist on planet Earth during this incarnation. So anyways, I thought I'd share this. Thank you so much for listening. If any of this interests you, feel free to reach out, shoot me an email. I'm an open book. And I would love to know what you think of this episode. This is, like a whole new territory for me to come out and say this very publicly about this deeper level work I've been doing for a long time that a lot of people don't even know about. So if you have any comments or feedback, please let me know. And if you enjoy this podcast, or even if you don't enjoy it, I would love a review on Apple Podcasts, especially. It would mean so much to me. And we'll see you next week with another episode. Thank you so much. And just remember, you are the medicine we need for these times.